we'll be graphing functions using parameters for transformation. First, let's identify the parameters here, and the plus 2 is a C parameter. So we're going to remove the C parameter and get down to the base function, which is the absolute value of x. Okay, now from the absolute value of x, we're going to go to the next step, which is adding the C parameter, which will be the 2. So absolute value of x plus 2. Okay, so let's go graph the absolute value of x. And I'm going to do that by going to Desmos. Okay, so for my function, f of x, we want that to equal the absolute value. Let's see if there's any absolute values in here. There they are, right there. Okay, and I'll put x. Ah, nice. Okay, and it's got a couple anchor values. I love using 0, 0 as an anchor value if it's there. And let's see, let's go here. Here's another one right there. 2, 2. So I'm going to use 0, 0 and 2, 2 as anchor values. Okay, now let's go back and let's put in the orientation here and put in a couple anchor points, 0, 0, and up here this will be 2, 2. All right, according to this right here, okay, now we're done with that, we want to move everything to the right, sorry, left 2 times, because a negative would mean move right, but a positive 2 means move left. So if I move 0, 0 to the left 2 times, it becomes negative 2, 0. And if I move 2, 2 to the left 2 times, it'll become 0, 2. So it'll go here and become a 0, 2. And then I keep my orientation the same. And I'm done. Okay, now let's move on to the next one. And this time we're going to identify our parameters once again. This negative is actually understood -1. That's an A parameter. Then plus 2 is a C parameter. And the -1 out here is a D parameter. When you remove all parameters, you're going to be left with the absolute value of x. You put your C parameter in, you have x plus 2 in the absolute value. The B parameter, since there's none, we'll move on to the A parameter, which is the -1 outside of the x plus 2 absolute value. And then finally put the D parameter. This will be -1 times x plus 2 with a -1 outside. So let's start off with this graph right here, absolute value. We know that's the V shape. We've already looked at it. And we know our anchor points we used before, 0, 0, and we also used a 2, 2. All right, when we move everything to the right 2 times, the 0, 0 moves over to -2, 0, and the 2, 2 moves over to 0, 2. And then the orientation again remains the same. So that's done. Now, a -1 for A gives us a rotation about the x-axis. Okay, so we're going to have a rotation here. So the -2, 0 will actually stay there, -2, 0. But the 0, 2 will go from above to below, so it becomes a 0, -2. So let's put a point here for 0, -2. And then we'll keep our orientation the same. So we have that little V shape right there. Okay, sorry I missed the point. All right, finally, the C parameter, sorry, D parameter, which is a -1, this is going to pull everything down 1 time. So instead of being at -2, 0, it's going to come down to a -2, -1. And instead of being at a 0, -2, this is going to come down a little bit to a 0, -3. Okay, and then we'll put in our orientation, same little kind of pyramid or triangle.